Welcome to Thinking Out Loud, the podcast where we dive into teaching methods that encourage students to think creatively and solve problems effectively in today's world. I am Shakila Anwar, and today I will share how using a simple technique called Think Aloud has made a huge difference in my teaching experience. Think alouds are not about reading aloud or explaining instructions. They are about letting students hear the exact thinking process and goes on in our minds as we solve a problem or analyze a situation. Research has shown that these techniques can improve students' understanding, encourage them to think deeply, and enhance their critical thinking skills. Over my years in the classroom, I have seen that what happens in a student's mind is as crucial as what happens in the lesson itself. I started using Think Aloud to help students follow my thought process when approaching complex ideas, and it has led to surprising improvements in their problem solving skills and creativity. Today, I will talk about why Think Alouds work so well, share some strategies, and give real examples of how this technique has made a difference for my students. A few years ago, I was teaching a challenging math class. The students struggled with problem solving, and nothing seemed to make it easier. One day, I tried something different instead of simply solving the problem. I began saying my thoughts out loud. I said things like, okay, here is a word problem. The first thing I need to do is figure out what's important in this information. There are some numbers here, but they might not all be relevant. Let's underline what I think is key. This small change made a massive difference. The students were suddenly more engaged because they could see how I approached the problem, not just the solution. They started understanding that problem solving is not about having all the answers, but about knowing how to think through the steps. Through trial and error, I developed three main Think Aloud strategies that help students break down problems and boost their confidence. The first one is question cascade. This strategy is what I call the question cascade. Here I model asking questions that help break down the problem. For instance, as I work through a new topic or problem, I will ask, what do I already know about this? Does this remind me of something I have seen before? What would be the first step here? Why am I choosing this step? These questions help students understand the importance of breaking down information, even if they are unsure of the solution. By hearing me ask these questions aloud, they learn to ask themselves similar questions when they work on their own. Number 2, mistake embrace. The second strategy. It involves purposely making mistakes and then showing how I work through correcting them. For example, okay, I will divide these numbers. Wait, should I be dividing? Let's double check my goal. No, actually, I think multiplication makes more sense here. This strategy teaches students that mistakes are part of learning and thinking. It reassures them that errors are okay and can even be helpful. When students see me correct myself, they understand that everyone makes mistakes and that revising your approach is normal. Number 3, innovation bridges. The third strategy, innovation bridges, is about connecting that we are learning now to other topics or concepts. As example, while working on a math problem, I might say, This pattern we are seeing here is similar to something we learned in science. I wonder if I can apply that same pattern here. This approach helps students make connections across subjects. They start to see how their knowledge is not isolated but can be applied in different areas, which is a crucial skill in creative thinking and real world problem solving. One memorable success story involves a student I will call Emma. Emma struggled with reading comprehension. During our reading sessions, I used think alouds to help her connect with the material. As an example, I would read a passage and say, "This character seems upset. The author used words like stormed and slammed. This reminds me of how I feel when." Over time, Emma began using this technique on her own. She started voicing her thoughts while reading, and her comprehension improved significantly. More importantly, she began to enjoy reading and understood stories on a much deeper level. If you want to try Think Alouds, here is my step-by-step method for introducing this strategy to your classroom. Number 1. Start small. Begin with a simple task like solving a basic problem or understanding a short text. Model your thought process for 2 to 3 minutes to help students to get comfortable with the method. Number 2, be authentic. Speak naturally and genuinely. Don't try to over-prepare or sound perfect. Authenticity helps students relate to you and see that this is a real thinking process. Number 3, encourage participation. After you have modeled Think Alouds a few times, invite students to share their own thoughts out loud. This helps them start thinking independently. The next one, create a safe space. Emphasize that there is no wrong way to think through a problem. Think Alouds are about exploring thoughts, so encourage students to be open and to feel safe making mistakes. The last one, number 5, track progress. Keep an informal record of how students' verbal processing improves over time. This will give you insights into their progress and show them how far they have come. Well, an unexpected outcome I discovered is that Think Alouds also help with classroom management. When students understand why we are learning something and how to think through tasks, they are more likely to stay engaged and show respect for each other's learning process. Thinking Alouds help build a community of learners who are curious, supportive, and willing to take risks in their thinking. When I introduce a new concept, I might start by saying, I am looking at this new topic and first, I am noticing it's similar to what we learned last week. I wonder how they connect. Let me jot down what I already know and what questions I have. By sharing these thoughts, I am modeling a productive way to engage with new information. As we wrap up, remember that Think Alouds are not just a teaching strategy. They are a way to make thinking clear and accessible for every student. They allow us to show that thinking is a process, not a race to the right answer. So, here is my challenge for you. Try one Think Aloud in your classroom tomorrow. Pick a simple activity and talk to your students through your thought process. Notice how they respond and engage. I think you will be amazed at the results. End of the podcast, I can say that innovation in education doesn't always mean using the latest technology. Sometimes it's as simple as sharing your thinking process with students, helping them learn not just what to think but how to think. Thank you for tuning into Thinking Out Loud. Keep exploring, keep thinking, and keep sharing. Thank you.